Hey everyone, welcome to our channel Students Homeopathy and let's learn together. Kant's philosophy is one of the important manuscripts of homeopathy. Understanding Kant's philosophy increases one's depth and acumen in homeopathy. In this video, we will discuss lecture 5 from Kant's philosophy. In this chapter, he has discussed discrimination as to maintaining external causes and surgical cases. Kant started this chapter referring to the aphorism number 4 of Organon, that is, the physician is likewise a preserver of health if he knows the things that derange health and cause disease, and how to remove them from persons in health. According to Dr. Kant, the aphorism relates to nothing but hygiene. It is the duty of everyone to maintain hygiene, especially the physician should educate others about it. Though these are the superficial things, still the physician can preserve health. Before proceeding further, we should first understand the exact expression of hygiene, because today hygiene is limited to cleanliness or protection from germs only. Earlier, the science of hygiene had a broader sense. During that time, hygiene included every regimen that could preserve health. Both mental and physical regimens were necessary. It was basically the measures to be taken in healthy people to maintain health by removing or modifying the things that derange health from person in health. We can get a better idea about the science of hygiene of earlier times from Carol Dunham's work, Homeopathy, the Science of Therapeutics. According to Kant, the physician is a failure if he is unable to discriminate between the diseases of miasmatic origin, diseases due to maintaining external causes, and the surgical cases. A homeopath should only treat the diseases due to external causes and internal causes of the disease. Here, Kant also quotes a phrase, "Render unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's," which means, give things that you have to someone who is better worth or claims it. A homeopath should not try to treat a broken leg or close off a deep wound with a dose of potentized medicine. Instead, he should send him to a surgeon. He should not prescribe nux vomica for a man living on too rich foods. Instead, he should advise him dietary hygiene and change his dietary habit. He should not apply for medicine externally and give them internally. So let's now discuss the diseases due to external causes. The external causes affect only the external body of the man, which Kant has called the house of the man. Man itself is not affected here. Thus, the role of hygiene is important for treatment in such cases. External injuries like injuries from knives, hooks, etc. affect the house of the man, that is, the external body, and must be attended by the surgeon. However, he should stitch a wound but should not burn out an ulcer with nitrate of silver. Some instances of external causes are: one who is suffering from conscience or living an evil life does not need a surgeon. He might need a priest or mental counseling. One having a lacerated wound, broken bone or deformities need a surgeon, because these are the surgical cases. One who is sick in his vital force, that is, has a dynamic disease, needs a homeopathic physician as it is due to internal miasmatic cause. The physician should also discriminate among those who need surgery or who need counseling. Some more examples of external causes and their removal from person in health are: one leading a vicious or immoral life, he must stop it. Bad habits which make one sick, he must leave them. One residing in damp houses, he must move from there. Open sewers causing sewer gas poisoning, one must plug or put in traps on them. Drinking of coffee or vinegar, it must be discontinued. Fang of an old tooth causing headache day and night, it must be removed by surgical means. Splinter inside the body which is pressing on a nerve, it must be removed surgically. So here note that these are all the hygienic measures to the removal of external causes from the person in health. when the exterior conditions brought on from external causes are so gross that they affect the interior man, the disease is established, and here internal medicine is required. So let's now discuss diseases due to internal or miasmatic causes. The internal or miasmatic causes affect the interior of man or the vital force, and the man itself is affected. Here, therapeutics has a role in the treatment. Internal or miasmatic causes come from the interior to the exterior and manifest signs and symptoms. Here, the physician needs to prescribe medicine. Treatment should be made from within, that is, by dynamic medicines. If he is still miserable even after following the hygienic measures like avoidance of external causes, being cleanly, taking carefully chooses his food, and having a comfortable home. So now come to acute affections. So there are two classes of acute affections: true diseases and mimicking sickness. True diseases are produced due to acute miasm. They have a distinct course to run. Usually, they have a prodromal period, a period of progress, and a period of decline. Like your measles, scarlet fever, whooping cough, smallpox, etc. But the mimicking sickness have no definite cause. They are produced by external causes like living in damp houses, grief, bad clothing, etc. Here, removal of causes is sufficient for recovery. Next, our point of discussion is chronic diseases due to chronic miasms. Chronic miasms are the fundamental causes of chronic diseases. Chronic miasms, that is, psora, syphilis, and psychosis, also have a prodromal period and a period of progress, but have no period of decline. During favorable times and circumstances, the chronic miasms become inactive but rouse into activity when they turn adverse. Each of their subsequent exacerbations is worse than the previous. The fundamental causes of acute miasms are chronic miasms. Chronic miasms predispose man or make him susceptible to acute disease. Acute diseases only work as a fuel to an unquenchable fire produced by the chronic miasms. For example, the influence of measles or scarlet fever might exist in the atmosphere, but it can make one sick only when he is susceptible to them. If there were no chronic miasms, there would be no susceptibility. Let's now know about the chronic miasm psora. So, psora is the cause of all contagion. Psora is the origin of other two chronic miasms, that is psychosis and syphilis, as well as the basis of acute miasms. Hahnemann's idea of psora does not mean an itch vesicle or some sort of tear. Rather, it refers to the state of disordered economy in man which makes him susceptible to every surrounding influence. So next, origin and course of psora. Kent again reminded here about the illustration of civil government to explain how the miasms or the cause of disease travels from interior of man to periphery. You can also watch it in our previous video. Kent proceeds further saying that even when someone thinks evil, that is evil in his will and understanding, its result in a state of disorder which is underlying or fundamental state of nature of the psora. It ultimately manifests upon the body producing tissue changes. Here he explained with an illustration. Suppose a man starts and believes that it is right for him to live upon certain kind of food that is very distasteful to him, and he lives upon that diet until he thinks from his belief that he really loves it. Later, his very outermost becomes as morbid as he is himself. What the man is the interior will manifest externally. Any kind of insanity or distortion in will and understanding will make the exterior distorted, because a distorted interior deserves a distorted dwelling to live. Causes are subtle and infinitely too fine and immaterial. They cannot be seen by the eyes or microscope or any instrument of precision. They operate upon the interior nature of man and ultimate in the exterior body in the form of tissue changes. Such tissue changes are the results of disease only, but not the disease. Disorderly thinking and living make one susceptible to outside influences or the atmosphere he lives in. Or we may say it makes him sick. More the disorderly life, more the susceptibility. In line with this discussion, Dr. Kent explained why mental symptoms are given prime importance. The disordered interior at first manifests as signs and symptoms which represent the mind, that is, as mental symptoms, and then travels outward. The more it flows outwards, the coarser its manifestations become. The more subtle the signs and symptoms, the more they point towards the remedy, and the more the coarser they are, the less they point towards the remedy. That's why we should give more importance to mental symptoms. Then let's discuss about the physical constitution of the patient. Two things that must be considered while treating a patient are causes operating in the disordered innermost, that is the nature or ease of the patient or the miasm, and the ultimates which constitute the outward appearance. Physical constitution comes to play after the interior man become disordered. Physical constitution deals with the outermost or the externals. Particularly in chronic affections, external man has to be considered along with the internal. So the next point is diseases as per the allopathic school. Books of allopathic schools describe the diseases in terms of their appearance but not as the nature or age of the sickness. Hence, the diseases in these books are misleading. They do not refer to the sick man but ultimate or the pathological changes, that is, congestion of lungs. The allopathic schools declare that they know the cause of disease, but actually, by this, they mean the superficial conditions which aggravate the disease, which is not the real cause. The cause of the disease, according to them, are the material organisms. For example, they think bacillus to be the cause of tuberculosis. They take the sequence for the consequence, leading to a false bacterial theory. But in reality, bacillus will affect man if and only if he is susceptible to it. The tubercles comes first and the bacilli come secondary to it as scavengers. However, the real cause of the tubercular deposit is sora. By destroying the bacteria, the disease will not be destroyed because it does not destroy the susceptibility to disease. While explaining the same, Kent has mocked the allopathic medicine that the bacteria theory would make it appear that God has sent microorganisms to make the man sick. According to Kent, the quantity of bacteria is inversely proportional to the strength of the poison. Kent says the importance of bacteria in disease creation is the least. He explained it through the illustration of dissecting wounds and typhoid. Dissecting wound. Dissecting wounds are very serious if dissection is done on a body that is recently dead. It is supposed to be due to some bacteria which produce dreadful erysipelatous poisoning and septicemia. But in truth, it is the termin poison, an alkaloid, which is formed in dead bodies of the recently dead. The presence of bacteria has not been discovered yet. However, after remaining some time, the cadavers get infected with bacteria, and this time, if the dissector pricks himself, the wound is not dangerous. So let's come to the illustration of typhoid. The first stool in typhoid has very scanty bacteria, yet very poisonous. But later, it contains more bacteria and it is comparatively benign. Thus, we can conclude that the more bacteria, the less poison. So, why does the poison not increase with the bacteria? Now, Kennedy explains, according to him, if we will do drug probing with a potentized form of tubercular bacilli on human, even in the 30th potency, which no microbe can be found, will manifest its symptoms similar to tuberculosis. Thus, the real cause of phthisis is not in the bacteria. Man lives longer with the bacteria than he would without them. Any external agent that would destroy the tubercular bacilli would cause the conjunctive to die soon. The fundamental or real cause of the disease is the miasm. The material causes like bacteria, though seem to be the real cause, are the apparent causes. Next, what should be the format of case taking for ascertaining the external causes? In the 5th aphorism of Organon, it has been mentioned like this: useful to the physician in assisting him to cure are the particulars of the most probable exciting cause of the acute disease, as also the most significant points in the whole history of the chronic disease to enable him to discover its fundamental cause, which is generally due to a chronic miasm. Thus, while taking the case, emphasis should be given to physical constitution, especially in chronic cases, moral and intellectual character, occupation, mode of living and habits, social and domestic relations, age, and sexual functions, etc. All these points can provide us with a clue about the external things that derange health and cause disease, which should be removed from person in health. So that's all for this video. If you have not yet subscribed to our channel Students Homeopathy, please subscribe it now and also click on the bell icon and select all so that you will not miss any of our informative, educational and interesting videos on homeopathy. Thank you for watching.